All right, today we're diving into something truly fascinating. We're going to explore a remarkable historical text that claims to document the final hours of a saint named Gertrude. But this is so much more than just a story about an ending. It's an account of these extraordinary, otherworldly visions, a story of grief, of faith, and a connection that seems to stretch way beyond death itself. And here's the thing. This is where our story actually comes from. This isn't some modern interpretation or a legend that's been passed down and changed over time. Everything we're about to get into is drawn directly from this centuries-old document. It's basically what people at the time wrote down, capturing a moment that was, for them, of profound spiritual importance. So, what are we really looking at here? What does this text actually describe? Well, it's not just about a death. It's a really detailed story of a soul's journey. A journey that, according to this account, was actually witnessed through a whole series of divine revelations. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Our story kicks off at the very moment of her death, which the text calls the moment of release. And this is where things, let's just say, go from ordinary to absolutely extraordinary. According to the text, as Gertrude was passing, she heard these words spoken directly to her from a divine voice. You see, it wasn't framed as an end at all, but as a promise, a transition into this final, sweet embrace with her Creator. And just like that, with that promise, the account says her soul took flight. It didn't just sort of fade away. It journeyed into what the text calls the sanctuary of the divinity, which is described as this place of eternal blessedness. But wait, arriving in heaven? That's not even close to the end of the story. The text goes on to describe what happened next, and it frames her soul's journey as this incredible plunge into an infinite divine ocean. I mean, her soul wasn't just, let in. It was welcomed with this whole symphony of celestial experiences. The text paints this incredible picture. Her soul discovering new glories, being enlightened with divine wisdom, and just flowing with holy delights as it's greeted by hosts of angels and saints. And then the text gives us this really powerful metaphor. It compares her entire life on earth, all her good works, all her faith, to just a single drop of water. And her death? Well, that was the moment that drop finally got to rejoin the infinite ocean of the divinity. It's just a stunning image of complete reunion, and it makes this huge theological idea feel beautifully simple. Of course, while all this celestial celebration was supposedly happening, back down on Earth, you've got a very, very human story playing out. The story of the religious sisters Gertrude had to leave behind. And their reaction was, well, it was really complex. On the one hand, they were completely devastated, pouring forth torrents of tears. But at the exact same time, their faith allowed them to actually rejoice with her, to celebrate her soul's triumph, even while they were in their own profound sorrow. During the Mass for Gertrude's soul, one of the grieving sisters reportedly received this divine consolation. This is such a pivotal moment because their grief is being addressed directly, reframing Gertrude's death not as a loss, but as a divine act, with this promise that they would not be abandoned. And this is where we get to the real climax of the whole account. During that same Mass, the text describes a whole series of visions. It's like a kind of divine dialogue that revealed exactly what was happening to Gertrude's soul at that very moment. And you can see it right here in the source itself. It details this whole incredible sequence. It describes this complex interplay between the earthly ceremony of the Mass and this heavenly reality that the sisters were apparently being shown. So the vision basically unfolds in 3 key moments. First up, the Lord offers Gertrude's soul to another saint. Then, that saint acts as a go-between, delivering spiritual virtues from Gertrude back down to her sisters. And finally, her soul is placed in the ultimate position of honor, by the Lord's most loving heart. Right in the middle of all this, one of the sisters actually speaks out to Gertrude's spirit. She's lamenting that she can no longer see her or even begin to comprehend the glory she's achieved. It's a moment of both awe and real human sadness. And then you get this powerful, direct response from Gertrude's spirit, from beyond. This simple line affirms everything, that their connection isn't broken by death at all. She can still hear them, and she can still intercede for them. Gertrude then reveals something just beautiful. She explains that even their very human grief, their tears of sorrow, are not wasted. They're actually transformed and are used to increase her joy and glory in heaven. Their love is still reaching her in a very real way. So, this all brings us to the final piece of the story, the promise that Gertrude leaves behind. It's this enduring legacy of care for the community she so clearly loved. As the Mass is wrapping up, the text describes one last, really powerful moment. Gertrude herself, now in heaven, is seen before the Holy Trinity, making one final prayer for her sisters on earth. And this is her prayer. It's basically a promise of perpetual motherhood. She asks that her tomb become a place of comfort, a place where her sisters could always go to feel her presence and know that her love for them had not ended. So the big question is, was this incredible prayer actually answered? Well, the text doesn't leave us hanging. The account explicitly states that yes, the prayer was heard, and that God granted a final, visible sign of assurance as her body was being laid to rest in the tomb. If you look at the very last lines of the chapter, this is where it describes the scene at the tomb. It's the culmination of all the visions, all the prayers, and all the promises that came before. And this is the final, just astonishing image the text leaves us with. As earth was cast upon her body during the burial, a vision was seen of the Lord himself making the sign of the cross over her. It's a final, definitive blessing, and a powerful confirmation that for this community and in this account, death wasn't an end, but a truly sacred beginning.